Okay, he was talking about
out here sounding like Micah Parsons on a podcast, talking about playoff picture, the whole
thing. It's
like
like 10-7, like, buddy, you're below 500. Should missing the playoffs impact Purdy's contract? Sorry, I didn't mean to do that so flippantly. I meant.
Well, no. See,
I
mean, it seems like you're just ready to give him the Trevor Lawrence deal. Right? You think that's a bad deal.
Trevor Lawrence's deal?
So that's why the answer to this is, of course, yes, it should. Because any of these quarterbacks that got contracts after 3 years, almost to a man, with one possible exception, if there was any question, we now look back on it and say, it's probably a mistake. So Mahomes got his.
What are these?
So you're right. So Mahomes got his after 3 years. There was no question.
I think that was a solid decision.
Right. Burrow got his fresh off the Super Bowl. It wasn't even off the Super Bowl. He had won the Super Bowl in year 2, but fresh off another AFC Championship game appearance. There was no question. Josh got his fresh off an AFC Championship game appearance in 2020. There was no question there. Lamar actually had to wait for his, but there wouldn't have been a question. Mm-hmm. The guys who it was a debate on shows, Trevor. Now, I still believe in Trevor, but had they waited, that price would not have gone up after this year.
Sure.
Tua, they did wait. They still, I think some of us thought you don't have to sign him. I don't think the price would have gone up after this year when he got hurt again. Like it's sad, but but that was also why they didn't pay him to begin with, was the injuries. Jalen Hurts, they signed him the first moment they could have. Had they waited until after last year, the price would have gone down. Kyler, they signed him the first minute. There was a real debate about that. Had they waited, the price goes down. The question is Justin Herbert. Like, they signed him as early as they could have. Some people think that's a great deal. Some people don't. That's the one that's not an obvious one. So I say all that to say this is, in a weird way, a cousin of the is he a Hall of Famer test. It's like, do you have to think about it? Then no. Like, should we give Brock Purdy $60 million at our first opportunity? If you have to think about it, then wait. And I have major reservations about a lot of his game and about his durability at this point now that he has suffered two. If this is a significant shoulder injury, as some of the reporting suggests it is, 2 injuries to his throwing arm in a very short career. But I certainly would not be rushing to pay him top of the market if he comes back, appears to be healthy, and the team is still mediocre.
Those are good points. The difference between the guys you mentioned and Purdy is they were making some decent money.
Yeah, but that's a Brock Purdy problem, not a Niner problem.
Yeah, because he was drafted, or the last guy in the draft. But I hear you, because I'm generally patient.
Yes.
Like, I didn't think they should have gave Trevor Lawrence that deal, and that looks like.
And
maybe
I guess
that
I left Jordan
right.
Love out, but that was a weird one because he had sat, and it was like his contract was up.
Right. Kyler Murray, I definitely was like, too soon.
Wait.
Tua,
yes.
I was like, wait, and obviously you got the injury history there. Look, if I'm Brock Purdy, maybe this answers your question. If I'm Brock Purdy, I would be happy. I would be like, look, if we're somewhere between 50 and 55 million, I'll do that. I don't have to be the highest paid quarterback in the league just because I'm next up. I don't have to top Dak. Now, he could argue he has done more than Dak Prescott.
Or Dak or whatever.
But he's done more than Dak. I mean, as far as playoffs and things like that. But if I'm Brock Purdy, and I think he might be this type of guy, I'm looking at, and people can rip you if they want, but all you got to say is Patrick Mahomes didn't take every last dollar. Tom Brady didn't take every last dollar. And so if they're willing to give Purdy between 50, 55, I'm signing up for that.
Okay, so just real quick, Coach, I want to make this clear. My hesitation is not the difference between 53 and 60. Because to me, if 60 is a mistake, 53 is a mistake. It's not like quite as big of a mistake.
Jones style.
Right. It's just, is he the guy or is he not? So I'm not really talking, I'm not saying your argument's wrong about, I want Jordan Love's deal. Well, I want Dak Prescott's deal. It's, are we going to make you play another year on this deal before we commit well north, no matter whether it's 50 or 60, of $120 million guaranteed dollars and tie ourselves to you?
It wouldn't. That would make some business sense. I'm not gonna lie, even though I like Purdy, but I think he's shown enough. I mean, the dude has played. He was exceptional the last 2 years, and he's played well this year. And again, look at everybody outside of Mahomes. Even Mahomes isn't the same recently without great weapons, but outside of a couple of guys, Burrow needs weapons. He got 2 of the best receivers in the league. So I'm not going to hold that against Purdy.
But to Nick's point, whether you're signing him for 60 or 53, you want to have a conviction on signing the guy, and either one can be a mistake. And there should be no rush to sign guys ahead of time. There's always this external pressure from the media, typically. Sign them, sign them, sign them, sign them. Pay them as much as you can pay them. And all you're doing is paying a higher price for the same player, which then hurts your ability to do other things. But from Brock's perspective, he should definitely push to get the contract. In a lot of ways, he does deserve the contract. And you could say wait and the number will go down. But that's not really how the market works. You're gonna end up doing a market deal, and you're gonna compare yourselves to other people in the market. So if we just bring up, we brought up Dak, or you brought up Dak, Chris. If you just bring up the production this season, Purdy's numbers versus Dak's are very favorable, and that's what the agent will do with the GM and say, okay, this is where we're at, and you can see Dak he's at 60 million, Purdy's at whatever, 934,000.
And there's year-over-year precedent, because last year they had similar numbers as well.
Yeah,
they were both way better.
There's year-over-year precedent, and it comes down to the only thing that Purdy can do if the organization decides not to sign him is you wait, so they don't replace you, and then you get injured, or you withhold your service.
By the way,
I love the dark arts.
But also,
that's his only option is to withhold his service.
And the thing, Nick, is if you mentioned guys that didn't play that well in the year after they got the deal. If he plays great next year,
then all you can do is franchise tag him, and then you're in the worst. You can franchise tag him, but then they really have you up against the wall. Dak got that deal because the Cowboys did what I suggested, because he wasn't a top pick. They didn't fully believe in him, so they played the franchise tag game. They didn't pay him early, and then they ended up like, oh, we do believe in you. So it is absolutely risky, because the price could go from 60 to 63, and maybe you're right, they could get him for 55. I am of the belief, I am not certain Brock Purdy is a franchise quarterback. I know that's an unpopular belief. I'm not certain of it. And there is also the added now concern of a second throwing arm injury that I want to see how that plays out. I would roll the dice that I'm costing myself on average the difference between 55 and 63 million a year, 8 million a year, if I might be saving myself $55 million.
But you also have to look at replacement costs. And the last time the 49ers tried to replace this player, they got a high draft pick, traded away a bunch of capital, and it's not like their ability to find another answer has been
another
very good either.
Another way to look at that is the last time they tried to replace their quarterback, they did trade away all that capital, and that was the wrong guy. And yet they were still able to easily replace that guy with the last pick of the draft. So the other way to look at it is this team has shown the ability to find a quarterback literally anywhere.
No, we could go through a list of quarterbacks.
I want him on my PR staff. That is the best spin of a terrible draft pick ever.
The Trey Lance draft
not only
pick was
that
terrible,
pick, but all the Garoppolo worked out for him, and then Purdy. But they had a lot of guys that didn't work out.
A lot of career backups. But they have also turned Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy into franchise quarterbacks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.